All painted except for the bases. Time to look at the yellow and most importantly, the freehand. Nick speaking, and welcome to this video. Right, the warp spiders, they are nearly done. I've completed the freehand, I've done all of the yellow highlights, and all I've got left to do is to base them and varnish them. So, without further ado, let's zoom in. I want to quickly show you the yellow, and then we'll move on and have a look at the freehand. So, let's zoom in, move these boards out of the way. Now I've got a new system. I'm on manual exposure now, which means hopefully you'll get a more consistent exposure when I'm going in and out with these things in the frame. So we'll see what happens. Right, there you go. So we've got the gemstones highlighted. I did my usual gemstone technique, just going from that base coat up on one edge, getting lighter and lighter, and then a little white dot on the other side. Did that for all of the gemstones, and of course the eyes have been highlighted as well with some sunburst yellow. So that is how the gemstones are looking. I really love how the yellow complements the purple with the gemstones. Just show you an excerpt. So he's got that big gemstone right on his chest plate. He's got some tiny little gemstones just on his side of his leg, which I painted up the best that I could. Show you another couple of guys, and then we'll move on to the freehand. Hopefully you're seeing that on the camera okay. I know sometimes it's just the detail's very small. It can be difficult to pick things up. Right, okay, so that's the yellow. That's enough of that. Let's get on and have a look at the freehand. Okay, so let's have a look at the freehand. But before we do that, a very quick chat about it. So if you'd watched the last video, you'd know that I'm basically basing the freehand on this jet bike, which 33 Clay Dog painted for me. It's an absolute awesome jet bike. And I thought I'd have a go at maybe replicating some of this. Now, I've done a reasonable amount of freehand before, but everything that I've done previously has been, let's just say, a bit more basic. Not so much shadowing and highlighting and 3D effects, etc. that Clayton has done. I mean, on this bike, for example, he even painted it so that as you rotate the bike, the purple colour changes where the light is basically sort of hitting it, so it looks as if it's like moving. You can see the back here much lighter, and as you come round this side it is much darker. It's very cleverly painted. Obviously I'm not going to go to that extreme, but I do want to duplicate some of this freehand. So my idea was to do the skull on one, the tentacles on the other. I wasn't quite sure what to do on the third one. So I started off doing some very rough experimentation on a piece of paper, just to get a general feel for things. So this is what I started off doing. So let's just zoom in a little. So yeah, basically just trying to get a feel for things, get the rough shapes and ideas of maybe what I wanted to achieve. One thing I did notice was that I had awful trouble matching the colour palette that Clayton had used. Probably he maybe used different coloured paints, or he obviously mixed them differently, but on this piece of paper I tried to replicate what he was doing in terms of the colours, and I wasn't able to achieve it, so I decided to not try to match Clayton's colours and just use my colour scheme. So I used all the colours that I used to highlight my purple. That's the 3 basic colours, and I added another colour in there which was the original light purple but with some black, to give me those sort of shadowy colours that you may be able to see there. So I got all of my colours onto my wet palette. I made sure they were nice and watery. I then got to work on my freehand. So first of all, I'm going to have a look at the skull, which I did on this leaping X art. So let's just rotate him around and let you have a look. Da da da! So there you go, that's the skull, and I have to say I'm really happy with him. The light is reflecting a little bit off of it. But yeah, well, I say skull, it's like a bio skull face thing. Just something a little bit different, but I think it looks pretty cool. And yeah, I was happy with that. Now what I did is I layered down all of the colours on all three of the backpacks, one at a time. So I started off with the sort of a slightly darker colour, then the base coats, then I laid in some shadows, and then I built the colour up to the pink, and then a slightly lighter pink, and then of course I edged in that white as well. Then I put in some little almost shadows around the skull, just to try and help sort of make it pop a little bit off of the actual background. So I did that. I then did on this guy, let's move him in. On this guy I went for some tentacles. There you go. That's my tentacles there. And I basically painted them exactly the same as I did the face, adding that sort of little shadow underneath to try and really bring them off of the background, try and give them a little bit more of a 3D effect, something I've not really done before. So I was pretty happy how that came out. And on the third one, I had a good think about it. I thought maybe I could do the actual warp spider symbol, but then I thought, well, I'm using this freehand exercise to really test myself. So I thought what I would do is I'd continue the theme. I didn't want to do anything too out of the norm that wouldn't match into these X arts. So I actually didn't really change too much. I just tested myself a little bit more. So what I did is I did the same design as this, 2 tentacles, but what I wanted to do was have them overlapping each other so I could experiment with sort of a bit more shadowing, etc. And this is the result of that. There you go. So yeah, again, I'm really happy with it. I think it looks pretty cool, and I think I managed to achieve the sort of overlapping shadow. That one underneath definitely looks a little bit darker around the join where they're going over each other. So that is my freehand finished. So there you go, that's a shot of all three of them all together. I have to say I am really happy with them. Yeah, and I'm really pleased that I actually went for it and I did it, because I'm feeling a bit more confident, even more confident than I was before about doing freehand stuff. And as I said, usually I'm doing sort of flat freehands, like the Space Wolf symbol on the shoulder pad. I've got a little bit of highlighting in there, but there's no shadowing and stuff. So I'm feeling a lot more confident now than I was before, so that's really good. I'm really happy with the results, and like anything really, I think you've just got to do it. You just got to go for it, and just try your best. And every time you do, the more confident you'll get and the better you'll get. Okay, so that's it for me from this video. Thanks for watching as always, and I'll see you in the next one.